The world of professional wrestling was rocked over the weekend as 3 former wrestlers died in a short period of time.
Really sad week in the world of professional wrestling. It's all too common where we see these headlines of wrestlers passing away.
Brian Christopher, or Brian Lawler, died after hanging himself in his Tennessee jail cell. Lawler was arrested in July for DUI and evading police.
Brian Christopher rose to prominence, I'd say probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was really good at his job. His job was just to be a really annoying bad guy who kind of had one of those faces you just really wanted to punch. And that's a compliment because that was what he was out there to do. He actually, probably his biggest, most famous role was he formed a tag team with this other guy named Scott Taylor, who also had one of those just punchable faces. And they were this sort of annoying, flamboyant tag team. They actually won the tag team titles in the early 2000s.
Brian Christopher, who also went by the name Grandmaster Sexy, wrestled in the shadow of his famous father.
You can't talk about Brian Christopher without talking about his dad, who was Jerry the King Lawler, one of the most famous names in professional wrestling, both in the ring and as a commentator.
Brian Lawler was 46 years old. Josip Peruzovic, also known as Nikolai Volkoff, also died this weekend. Volkoff was a mainstay in the ring during the 1980s with his Russian character embodying Cold War anxieties. He gave American audiences a literal punching bag with a Russian face.
He would, wear a USSR shirt and wear that sort of iconic Russian hat, and he would sing. He had a terrible singing voice, and he would sing the Russian national anthem to the entire arena. Of course, then the whole arena, the whole crowd would boo him because he was an awful singer and he was playing a Russian sympathizer.
The colorful pseudo-Soviet, whose career spanned over 40 years, was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005. Nikolai Volkoff was 70 years old. And a wrestler by the ring name Brickhouse Brown died as well over the weekend. Brown, whose real name was Frederick Seawright, had been battling prostate cancer. Brown was active in the 1980s and 90s, and only finally stepped away from the ring in 2017 after his cancer diagnosis. Among his opponents was Jerry Lawler. Brickhouse Brown was 57 years old. This is InsideEdition.com.